Hello, welcome to the Am I Crazy series, dedicated to fighting the stigma on mental illness. I'm Donald Best, and episode 1 is on social anxiety disorder. What is it? How do you know if you might have something like it? And what kinds of help is available for it? A common word that describes much of what we're going to be talking about is shy. Humans are very social creatures, and in our incredibly complex modern world, being shy can be a very big problem. I watched other YouTube videos about social anxiety disorder, and one of the first things more than one of them said was something to the effect that it's so much more than simply being shy. But what I'm doing in this series is making mental illness as easy to understand as possible. And understanding any mental illness as a list of symptoms is a misleading and complicated way of going about it. Any mental illness can be as simple as 2 questions. Are you miserable? And can you do what you want to do? If you are socially miserable, the phrase painfully shy might describe you. Sadly, shyness is not the only way to experience misery from social interactions. There's also stage fright and particular sensitivity to those inevitable awkward moments. Keep in mind that it is you and no one else that decides whether you're happy or miserable. Simply because others might describe you as painfully shy is not always meaningful. Take the painfully shy freelance writer. She works from home and likes it that way. The fact that he would find the first day at an office almost insurmountably painful is not a problem. He or she might have a close circle of family and friends of family and not feel isolated or lonely. On the other hand, another person might not be a homebody at all, but they spend several days after each social gathering beating him or herself up over mostly imaginary social blunders. The key here is misery, not social performance. After you consider misery, it's time to ask, can you do what you want to or you feel like you need to do? Many people can't handle public speaking, have no desire to give a speech, or be successful in any arena that would require it. These people do not need help. However, there are many people who want to succeed in something that requires a kind of stage performance, salesmanship, and being comfortable meeting new people. An example is an inventor who believes in his or her product so much that the salesperson aspect becomes important, even though a car salesman is not what they ever wanted to be. The most serious cases of social anxiety disorder involve people being both isolated from others and imprisoned in their own homes. If this is the case, action is needed immediately. There is no surer way to take someone from being a healthy, well-adjusted person to depressed, suicidal, and even psychotic than to lock them in solitary confinement. And this is what social anxiety disorder can do. You can see the effects of isolation in the movie Castaway, where Tom Hanks' character starts as a well-adjusted person, but after an extended period of complete isolation, he tries to hang himself from a tree and develops a love-hate relationship with his volleyball. So I guess the third thing to look for is the problem getting worse? Progressively worsening social anxiety disorder is a truly deadly disease. I hope I have given easy answers to the question of what social anxiety disorder is and how to know if you might have something like it. Simply being shy in our modern world can be enough to cause a person real misery. Luckily, many shy people can be happy and do not have social anxiety disorder. Shyness is not the only way people suffer or have trouble in social situations. So, what help is there for it? An obvious follow-up question would be, what help do you need? The help you seek should match your desire for help. Even if you cannot be diagnosed with social anxiety disorder, but still have a real need to give that presentation soon, or go to an important event, it may be worthwhile to seek personal counseling quickly. If all you have is some vague dissatisfaction for how isolated you are, no matter how long you've had social anxiety disorder, you may have time to casually read some self-help books, try a few things, and see if things get better. If you go the self-help route, try to find something written to your problem. The book How to Win Friends and Influence People probably won't help much with stage fright or feeling nervous around others. It's a good book, and it may help if some skill pointers will calm you down, but try to find the best fit to your issues. That's the first difficulty with self-help. The second is often the writing tone is, "This is the right way to do it" attitude. Even if there were one best way for most people, it still may not be the best way for you because everyone is unique. View whatever self-help you read as suggestions to try. If they work, great. If not, don't assume it's your fault or that nothing will. Support groups and clubs can be a good option. Obviously, they're scary for people with social anxiety. There are even clubs for people working on public speaking, most famously Toastmasters. Going to Toastmasters will not address the mental health aspects, but it helps people feel that they are doing well and can desensitize them from the fear of public speaking in a much safer environment than a high-pressure office presentation or in front of hundreds of people. Group therapy is both cheap and effective. Any group setting is likely to be difficult for people suffering from social anxiety disorder, but ultimately there's no getting better without stepping outside of your comfort zone. If going that first time is not too hard for you, this is the option that makes the most sense to me. Individual therapy may seem safer, but still involves meeting someone new. Screen your therapist for qualities that will help you relate to them. Don't be too quick to open up and take risks before you're secure in the therapeutic relationship, so you can simply move on if you need to. The good thing about a therapist is that they can tailor your treatment to your unique sets of strengths, needs, and difficulties. You don't start out a job interview with your weaknesses and difficulties, so why would you start your first therapy session that way? It's with your strengths that your weaknesses will be overcome. I guess this is one of the things that dealing with demands for conformity that society tells us, that it is our weaknesses that matter. No wonder so many of us are riddled with anxiety in a society that is far more massively complex and full of strangers than nature ever intended. Hopefully now you know enough to find social anxiety disorder much more understandable in every sense of the word. Attacking the stigma on mental illness is the main reason I'm doing the Am I Crazy series. If you found this helpful, please share it with others so that we can turn this into this.